Hey there, it's Darren. I don't know why I say that every time. You probably know who I am at this point, but maybe you don't. Maybe just starting right here on this one. So, I got back from Texas and I was delighted to see that all the scripts that I ordered came in. So, Michael Haig, if you're watching, I listened and you said read a lot of scripts. So, I got The Blind Side. This one is Miracle, the hockey movie. Pursuit of Happiness, The Rookie, Rocky, Peaceful Warrior, and of course I had to start with Rudy. So, no, I cannot copy them. I'm just reading them and learn some interesting things because this version that I'm reading, it doesn't have a date on. Yeah, September 9th, 1992. And they told me at Scriptfly, which is very cool, that the copies that you get aren't the actual movie, and some of the scripts even have like notes on them and things in terms of director's notes. So it is interesting seeing what didn't make the movie and what made the movie that isn't in the original script. So here's a few things that I learned from reading this version of Rudy. So, page 8 is where the desire line comes in. And in the desire line, it's is where he says that his dad's got says, "Anybody got anything to say before we start dinner?" And Rudy goes, "I'm going to college. I'm going to go to college at Notre Dame." In the actual movie, he says he's going to play football at Notre Dame, which is much clearer of a goal. And as I read the script, that line actually does come later, so they kind of combined the two. Um, so that was interesting. Number two, I noticed that each scene, in my reading, each scene, it says that is either supposed to advance the story or reveal something about the character. Now that that idea is in my head, I'm seeing that, so which is really wild. So he, it's also like just kind of like I can tell you what the champions had in common if you want to be a great speaker from my studies, but you won't understand it to the level I did because I studied 90 world-class speeches. So it's kind of the same thing. Um, so I noticed that in each scene, yes. So for example, his brother, the line says when he says, "I'm going to play football for Notre Dame," his brother's line is, "Yeah, and I'm going to buy a mansion on Lakeshore Drive." Now this is obvious sarcasm, but this reveals about the character what a huge goal or dream this is. That it's so pie in the sky that yeah, right, which obviously is part of the point is that how do we make it clearer? And then, as I teach you in speaking, reactions tell the story. And then in the original script, it's actually there's a scene before. If you've seen the movie, it starts off with the kids playing football outside, and Rudy's the all-time center. The little job because he's the little guy. In the original script, there's actually a scene before that where his brother invites him to go outside and play football with them, but there's 3 minutes left in the Notre Dame game. And he's like, "I'm not going outside. The Notre Dame game's on," which is revealing about the character, his passion for the school, and he's watching it with his dad. There's even an earlier scene where, he's a child and he's watching it with his dad when his brothers are around the room doing other things. Page 9 is when we finally get to 1968 where he's playing high school football. So that means that we cover in 8 pages, we kind of lay the whole childhood and get the story before we get to him actually playing high school football. Page 14, there's a great line that also defines the character where Father Ted, which I do remember this scene from the movie, catches Rudy daydreaming. And he said, "The problem is dreamers aren't usually doers. Their accomplishments are grandiose up here," and he points to Rudy's head, but where it counts, when it comes out, they come up empty. So this is where we also kind of learn Rudy's wound is that, yeah, he's a dreamer, but he's not necessarily a doer, even though he has heart and works hard. And we learn this. We also learn this from a previous scene from his coach, and it's very different how they established that in the actual movie as opposed to in the original script. There's actually a football game, high school football game, where Rudy's not allowed or isn't starting, and they finally throw him in the game, and he makes one good stick, and then later on, the last play of the game, the guy passes him, and the other team scores a touchdown, and they lose the championship. So, but that isn't in the actual movie. Also, number 5, what I learned is that, okay, what I just mentioned about him getting burnt, which isn't in the actual film. Number 6, they added the scene in the movie, which isn't in the script, about his dad at the bus stop when his dad tells him the story of a relative who bought a farm and had this crazy dream, but then all of his cows died of disease, and he says that chasing silly dreams just hurts everyone. I really like that scene. I'm glad they added it in the movie. I think it tells a lot and it resonates, and it reminds me of my family and stories that I heard when I was young about the depression and my grandparents' struggle there. And then finally, they also, in talking to Rudy, I know that in the movie they made a childhood friend be his buddy who worked at the plant with him, who bought him the Notre Dame jacket and ended up dying in an accident. When in reality, it was actually a mentor. So in the original script that I saw, it was the mentor who was the only one who believed in him and was his buddy, but he was an older gentleman that worked at the plant. It wasn't his high school buddy. So that was it's really fascinating seeing those differences, which for me, what it says to me is that they're going to make changes. So stop trying to think about making it perfect and just start writing, which is exactly the advice I give speakers. So I can't know what the directors are going to see or do. I just have to write the script and get the first version of the story down. So I learned a lot by starting to read the scripts. And as you can probably tell, let's see, I was so excited that the scripts came that did 55 minutes, even though I'm tired and traveled all day. But I do need to go to bed now. Only home for 36 hours, and then I go to Seattle for NSA and Toastmasters there. But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about you and your progress. So I hope you make some progress today and learn from this example. Good night.